How about now?
We feel a man is unthinking when he says sobriety is enough.
You sit on the toilet, don't you?
No.
Use that as your meditation.
Not my wife, not your wife, nor anybody listening to this podcast has eaten a shit sandwich. We didn't have a
Welcome to Recovery Unfiltered. I'm Larry. I'm an alcoholic.
I am Rob. I am also an alcoholic. We are not professionals. There are no letters after our names. We know very little. However, next to nothing. You will hear the word God and a four-letter word.
Next to nothing.
Sentence.
I'm about ready to prove that point.
You will also be offended. So if you are easily offended, just pass us by. This podcast is not for you.
Our opinions are just that. If you don't agree with what we're saying, that's okay. We're going to love you anyways. We are not in any way affiliated with AA.
So sit back, grab a beverage of your choice, and get ready.
Let's go. Mr. Rob.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
We are back. I got a little bit of announcement. We were supposed to be recording. I'm going to pull back the curtains just for a minute. So Rob and I, we record every other Sunday, right? And the last... Typically, right? Sometimes we grab another day in there.
Because we have to.
Because like I said, I want to drop every week, no matter what, right? Sometimes Rob and I just come in, we put something in. We don't throw it together. We try not to throw anything together. Everything we do, we have a purpose, right? So every once in a while, Rob and I will grab something on the weekends or during the week. But for the most part, we stay on a pretty good schedule. About every other Sunday we record, and then we drop Wednesday, then record again. Well, we had Mike and Jason on that last episode, the last 41 and 42, right?
40 to 41, right?
41, 42.
41, 42.
Right.
Okay.
We're getting ready to record.
Right. We were 40.
Yep. Yeah. And so we towards the end of 42, we got to talking about Mike's wife, Kim, and that living amends.
Actually, we were going to bring those two back in to finish up because we didn't get finished. And then somewhere in the week, Mike says, hey.
Well, no, that was me. When I went to edit that, right? I edited that. And as I was listening to it, I'm like, because I'd said something to Mike about the living amends with his wife and, you know, just the living amends of how to forgive yourself. And he really started to get into that conversation. And as I was listening to that, I was like, you know, the only way to finish this story with Mike is to bring Kim back in. So we set that up and Kim agreed. Well, we were going to record. They were intended
I'm trying to find the text. You told me I was in the middle of the week because our plan was to have these guys were going to come back for a third episode.
They were
but in the middle of the week, you texted me. You said, "Hey, Kim wants to come in and do one."
Because, like I said, I reached out to Mike and I said, "Hey,
because I just got done because when we left here that Sunday, that wasn't a plan. I'm telling you, which was awesome.
God just hit me and said, Kim's got to be in here to finish it. Same way we did with Jason when we brought Jenny in, right? Yeah. It was perfect, and I'm like, to finish this story. Yeah, she did. Well, I got a phone call at 8:55 this morning, and for Mike. And as you know, sometimes I wonder about people when they try to back out the last minute, but that's not what this was.
Shingles are no joke, baby.
He told me that he felt like that, you know, Kim was pretty convinced that she was coming down with the shingles. That, you know, all the signs looked at it, and I said, you know what, take care of her.
Oh yeah,
you know, Rob and I love sitting and chit chatting. Anyways, I had a couple things I wanted to get caught up on, a couple topics that I've been working through myself. So just going to give us some time. So we're going to record a couple episodes and hopefully something sinks in, you know, something you can work on. But what I want to talk about today is, so Jason A's wife, Jenny, she decided she wanted to start her own podcast, and it's called Sober Sister Shit Show. And they came into our studio and they recorded. And the first one was with a girl by the name of Christy. Right. And I'm giving a little backdrop on this because it's going to get to where I want to go. So just be patient with me. And Brad,
don't. We don't care.
Everybody says I talk too much, but this is my story and I'm telling it. So when Jenny came in, she came in with a girl by the name of Christy. Right. And they did it and they recorded and everything went great. And they were going to come back and record again because that was going to be her co-host. Well, the very next time they were coming back to record, she couldn't make it because a good, very close friend of hers was very, very sick in a hospital room down in LA, San Diego area. So, okay, she recorded with another girl and so on and so forth. Well, about 2 months ago, there was a guy that came in to our Saturday, was it Saturday morning or your Thursday night meeting when I went?
Saturday morning.
What was Saturday morning,
Yeah.
and he was just fresh. He'd only had a couple days sober.
Fresh. Hey,
and,
want a little backstory on Christy?
yeah.
She had asked me to help her with the steps. So I sat down for my Thursday meeting. We'd show up early for 3 weeks. Me, her, Susan, her sponsor, and we went through.
Okay, so you co-sponsored her.
Basically, yeah.
Right,
We went through the steps. She did.
Right.
I told her this is the
Right.
work. This is how it's laid out.
Okay.
When you do your 5th step, you say to her.
Okay.
When you do your mids, you talk to her.
Okay.
And,
so
and then
do
you
a little
go.
bit. And I actually got some.
Yeah.
I got a co-sponsor thing in here that I'm going to go through. So
she's on fire right now.
yeah,
She's
she
doing-
is,
Chrissy's
and I
doing
saw her
really good.
yesterday. So so yesterday, and actually after that meeting a couple months back, I sat there and talked with him for a long time. I mean, he was fresh, green, and I was just trying to encourage him.
He just showed up to our Monday meeting for the first time.
Yep. You're telling my damn story.
Oh,
You want
sorry.
to finish telling
No,
it,
my bad.
motherfucker?
My bad.
Shut
Go
the
ahead.
fuck up.
Sorry.
Speak when you're spoken to.
No, hey, I talk too much. I apologize. I speak out of turn. I overspeak. I'm just the loud. I'm sorry, Larry. I apologize. Take it away. Can you pick back up where you were?
Fuck.
Don't lose your spot.
I got to go
goddamn it.
back and remember where my story was. Fuck.
Well,
Anyways.
go from he came showed up Monday night.
So when he showed up Monday night, I thought, all right, I mean, it's not that our Monday night's some miraculous
Yes, it is.
event. Well, I'm gonna explain that. But our Monday night is not an AA meeting. It's not.
We're not associated with
No, we are not. That Monday night group is just a group of brothers that hold each other accountable, and we love, and we
bunch
go
of
through
us.
the book. And we started with 3 or 4 or 5, and we're at 26, 27 in our meetings. It's grown.
It's a God thing.
It really is a God thing, same as this podcast. So he sat there and he shared, right? And I've said this so many times when I see that pain of somebody, right? It just intrigues me. I don't know about intrigue is the right word. It attracts me. I don't know why pain of somebody attracts
Do you
me.
want me to tell you why it attracts you?
Yes.
Same reason. Okay, remember when old boy was sharing and you were looking at me like the guy was new at the Saturday morning meeting and you were looking at me like I was chomping at the bit?
Uh-huh.
Because when they're in pain, there's that small window. They're ready.
Yep.
They're ready. Their willingness is right there. The most it's ever going to be to get to God and do this work.
So Saturday morning, he showed back up. And in that period of time from Monday night to Saturday, I don't know how you and I got in this conversation, but you said, well, that's Christy's boyfriend. And I'm like, huh, okay. Brings it home a little bit. And then a Saturday morning, I saw them close. They were both, the women's group was leaving and the men's group was coming in. And we chit chatted a little bit together, which Christy says she wants to come on and tell her story, which we need to get that on, And then we got into the meeting and then Blake shared. Now, you guys have all heard me say when I don't like to sponsor, right? It's just not, I've tried it. It's not me. I'm a selfish prick. I don't like to give up my time. And you've always said you will sponsor, right?
Mm-hmm.
People said that. Doug said that. Everybody said that. And I've said it. If God slaps me over the head, I will present the opportunity, right? Well, when I say that God slapped me over the head, I'm sitting there listening to him share, and I had a warm feeling just come over my body, and just literally, I just froze. And I'm like, I got to sponsor this guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to sponsor this guy.
That's equivalent of God's spiritual 2x4, by the way.
Wow. I'm like, so I was like,
where there's no doubt. You know what I mean? There's no doubt what God wanted.
There was zero doubt.
Right.
I knew for a fact, right? Because of my interactions with him up to that point. Mm-hmm. The night I spent with him after the meeting, and we sat there and shared, and we talked back and forth for so long, and then. So I just waited, and I even texted you. I even told you, I said, I think God just hit me over the head with a 2x4. I think I'm going to need to sponsor this kid, right? Or offer. So, and as we've spoke many times, I am not going to say, can I sponsor you? That's just not how we do that.
Nope.
But after the meeting, I told him, and I literally pulled him to the side. I said, Blake, I just got to tell you something. I have always said I would never sponsor. But God has hit me over the head pretty hard to sponsor you. But I'm going to tell you something. That doesn't mean I should be your sponsor. What I am going to tell you is that your willingness right now is wide fucking open. I've seen it in you a couple times now.
That's the attraction.
That's what and I'm like, you are wide open. You're an open wound right now. And I said, I'm going to warn you, if you don't get a sponsor and get this happening quickly, that window is going to slam shut, and you're going to think everything's hunky dory. And I said, I don't really care if you go to Rob, Pat, Doug, I don't care who you go to get a sponsor, but you need to do it quickly before that willingness stops. And he started to say something else. I go, do not ask me right now. I want you to go home. I want you to pray about it. And then I want you to contact that whoever you want to be your sponsor. Well, he called me about 4:00 last night and asked me if I would sponsor him. So yes, I am going to take another run at this. What are you writing down over there?
Go and keep talking.
Well, I'm done now.
Keep talking. Motherfucker, keep talking.
God,
you want to shut up.
Can't you look at the signs where I'm starting to finish?
No. Okay, because you had a good, listen, you had a great metaphor, and I wanted to capture it because that's something you said I actually agreed with. I shouldn't say agreed with. I actually liked and might fucking use. Sorry, the effort. Whatever. I might use.
Okay, what did I say by accident?
Right now, you're an open wound.
Mm-hmm.
So because when that wound closes, it can either be scabbed over if you just let time go, or if you want God to heal it, you work these steps and it'll be healed, not scabbed over.
1,000%.
And you might not drink if it's scabbed over,
right?
But eventually that scab's going to crack, and then break open.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want God to do it because right now that open wound is exactly what it is.
Right, it's open.
How's it going to get? You're going to scab over because you ain't going to heal it.
Nope.
I'm not going to heal it. God can heal it.
Right.
Or you can just take time and try to live off the first power, which is the power of the fellowship. And so that was good. So that's what I was writing down.
I appreciate that. So, I mean,
Dick.
He called me and we talked and he goes, I listened to your guys' first 2 or 3 episodes of your podcast while I was cleaning the house today. I go, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, I really appreciated your guys' stories. I love the podcast. He goes, but I really want you to be my sponsor. And I said, okay. Well, I said, let's get to know each other a little bit and we'll start working through this. And I told him the 4 rules, man. Well, I think I only did 3, but
what were they?
I told him, you don't lie to me and I won't lie to you.
That's one.
Right. That's one. The other one is whatever you tell me and whatever I tell you stays between you and me. And it's not your girlfriend's fault, not your girlfriend's business, not my wife's business.
Nope,
it
you,
stays
me, and
between
God.
us.
Right.
And third is don't waste my fucking time. Right. Mm-hmm. I work extremely hard and I go about, I very busy person. So I'm going to set aside time for you. Don't waste my fucking time. Amen. Your time is as important as my time. Right. So just let's respect each other.
The only other rule I add to that is at any given point, you want to go a different direction, go grow. Right. You ain't going to hurt my feelings. Right. You want to go work with that cat? Go. Right. I'm good.
And Rob, I appreciate that. I forgot this. I forgot that one, but the three important ones. And I think the number one is don't waste my fucking time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think
a guy who's ready, whose wound is open, like you, like Brandon, like the men I've worked with that are just flourishing. Yeah, they were ready. Yep. That wound was, and they wanted God to do it. Yep. We're just facilitators. Right. And right now he's striking when the iron's hot. Don't mean we're going to be successful. We don't get anybody sober. Nope. We don't get anybody drunk. We are a conduit.
That's it. And I really, so a couple of things that he said when we were talking yesterday, and I actually told you, and I asked him if he had a big book, and he said, well, him and Christy share the plain language big book. And I'm like, So I had to throw my prejudice aside and go, if this man needs to go through that plain language text to get sober, I need to learn that text. So I ordered 2 yesterday, one for me, one for him, because to me, a good sponsor buys a man his first AA book. So I ordered one for him and one for me.
Okay. Now, as long as, because the 3rd step prayer doesn't change.
No, it's right there, baby. It don't change.
This 4th step is a 3-part inventory. It doesn't change.
Let me get a copy of that.
I got them for you. I don't give a shit I don't care for the plain language. I probably won't get. I won't.
I don't know. But I don't know. Rob, have you read it?
Yeah,
you have. I haven't.
Not the whole. I've read.
Yeah, I have
3/4 of the.
So I can't form an opinion on it. I may get through it and go, fuck, this opened my eyes up a little bit.
Great. However, but all I'm saying is, I don't care what you go through, what book you use. God's the same. 3rd step prayer is the same. The 4th step inventory is the same.
Absolutely.
The prayer. Step 5, the confession. That's all the same. As long as that work happens, I don't care what book you're opening. Yeah. Okay, let me take that back. I do care. However, it doesn't matter.
164.
It doesn't matter because God's involved.
Right.
And he's the answer.
So I've been, here's the other thing. And
one more thing.
Yeah. Why ain't you done with this topic?
I know. I got. And why?
Why are you turning those fucking pages right on the mic?
You want me to swallow? Let me take a drink and swallow. Shut the up.
Hey, by the way, my wife told me I can't do my sounds anymore.
I don't blame her because, Jesus. Hey,
out of respect for Katie, no
the
more sound
reason
effects.
rule number 4 or your rule number 3, don't waste my fucking time, is the most important.
Right.
The reason it is because if a man won't honor us
Right.
and respect a sponsor
Right.
and submit his
Right.
time and will to
Right.
a sponsor during this process, he's not going to submit his
Right.
will to God. So that's where you know.
Right.
Once they start wasting your time, that's why, okay, I'm going to go because you're not ready. So
That's
there's no
the
need to
other
waste
thing
either of our
him and I
time.
talked about. To me, I thought it was a little bit important to understand this, and we're going to get together, go have some coffee tomorrow, or meet up to kind of learn each other a little bit more. But I asked him if he believes,
Does he have a higher power?
He's struggling with that.
Does
right?
is he willing to believe that there could be a higher power?
Yes,
the
he
book
is.
says that's all
Right,
you need to make a
right.
beginning.
And we talked about that yesterday because, like I said, I want to be prepared. Right, for every offense, you need a defense. Right, and I needed to know a little bit of what I need to prepare myself for before we start walking down this.
If you need to go to the agnostics, says that's what it says. Well, there, and what about alcoholism?
I'll know more
all a man
about
needs is if he's
A
willing to
willingness,
believe,
right.
that there could be
Right.
something greater than you. You can go.
One of his things that he said to me is he's like, I know that something happens because I have already seen things change in my life.
Wow.
Don't know where it's coming from.
Doesn't
I just
matter.
know it's coming.
Don't
So,
matter,
and
baby.
I'm like,
Go get it. Go
I
find
said,
it.
well, Blake, you're starting to see a little bit of the promises, and I promise you get through these steps, and you're going to see the promises come wide open for you. And it's just,
And that
so I'm
relationship
excited.
with that power.
Right. Whatever that is.
Whatever
I mean,
that is.
Yeah, whatever that is.
He'll
And we-
develop that on his own and watch it, and then watch, as we know, God will work.
Yep.
If he works it, it's be amazing. That's the most, you're getting ready to embark. If it plays out like the way a lot of mine have, and you're going to find one of the most, even all the heartbreaks that we have.
Right.
And I've had a
And
lot God has given me a lot of great successes. Let's be honest. It's
He
all God.
has.
However, the most beautiful ones are where you're going to go. The one you're embarking on right now, someone who doesn't have a preconceived, weren't raised with nothing, just, okay, there could be.
Right.
And then to watch God work in that as you just do your part.
Yep.
You be Larry and let God be God.
Yep. That's all I
It's gonna be
can do.
amazing.
I think, and this couldn't have
potential.
come at a better time for me because I think I needed this. I had to back away from H&I a lot. I'm not getting to go into the jails as much. So I haven't been able to work with another alcoholic like I was. I mean, I still go and speak at Maynard's. I go speak a little bit here and there.
Which is great. But
It doesn't solve that one-on-one.
nothing so much ensures immunity to drink
Right,
it as intensive work
right.
with other alcohol. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I quoting the book? I apologize.
I don't give a shit where
Big Book Thumper, Brad.
Right. So the other, I want to just go over real quick and how I got my sponsor, which is Rob, who is now what I call a brother more
We're
than a
brothers,
sponsor.
baby.
But I just wanted to, so when I came out of Maynard's, and if I've told this story and if you've heard it, then I apologize. But I think we're
You
on
don't
the
give a
topic.
shit.
We're
Just
on
say
the,
it.
Fuck off. We're on the topic of sponsorship, and I just want trying to get some of our listeners to understand how important this is. When I came out of Maynard's, I was so wide open and so ready to fly down that AA step. You okay with it?
No, I'm looking. I'm going to your text here because you had, the B day, sober day,
Right.
belly birthday, sober birthday.
Right.
Advice to new sponsors work with us. These are kind of
Right. This is the topics we're going after today. When I came out of Maynard's, my counselor up there, who's been on the shows, Chris, he got me in touch with Primary Purpose and Jay. Chris and I formed a bond, I think, when I was in Maynard's, and that bond is still extremely tight. One of my favorite men on this planet.
mine too.
Yeah.
Saved
And when
my
I got
life.
down here and I met Jay for the first time, I had no idea. He loving, open arms, Dawson, Michael, Norm. Just an amazing group of men that I was, so blessed to be a part of when I got out of Maynard's. And I got with Jay and we met 2 or 3 times, and Jeanette met with Katie, and it's all warm and fuzzy and cozy. But my God, I needed the throttle hit. Right, I needed it.
Right.
I was just drowning. And I'm
in
like,
my opinion, everybody in your position, because when we all, most of it, I shouldn't say, let's say 90%. I can't even give a damn percentage. Anyway, most of us hit that moment.
right.
And the book says the throttle needs to be hit.
Oh, right.
And the reason we don't, I think, through my experience, the throttle doesn't get hit. And then the scab crosses over. They don't heal. God doesn't heal them because
Right.
they start to feel better. They don't get through the steps. Hey, maybe, the throttle doesn't get hit.
But yes, and so let me just finish. I want to come back to that
Okay,
because
so the throttle didn't get hit. But Jay, then what did you do?
I just I floated for about a month. I just kind of floated. And I met with Jay like 2 or 3 times, and sitting at a primary purpose meeting, and I was staring at the door coming in and just not really having it. Primary is just an open book. It's a book study, so there's a lot going on. And, you know, in comes Rob walking and fucking bouncing across, and it was instant. Instantly when I saw, I was like, I gotta fuck. Then you sat behind me, and when you shared, it was like, I want what this fucker's got. I got to know where what is this and where can I get more of it? And as we were walking out, that's when Jay introduced us, right? And Jay, you know, I think you say it. I don't remember it this way, but I'm pretty sure Jay knew what he was doing when he introduced us.
Because Jay can't run. I make the joke, and I make the joke for his benefit because I love him more than anything. You know, the closest thing I've had to a father, you know, since my dad died in 2000.
Yeah.
But once he introduced us, he said, Larry, have you met Rob? You turned to shake my hand, and he, you know, he had his cane at the time, not his walker.
He walked.
He did, but not, he didn't take off running and give you the bird and say, Rob, he's your fucking problem now.
Right.
But he just turned and left.
He did. And it was
and
just
that's his way. That's it, because he knew it.
Right. I had to. God love Jay, and he's walked 1,000 men
but that whole
book.
situation.
Right.
Me coming in, the way because I just with energy, because I just come in because God's energy.
And you just came off your battle with cancer. You were right. I mean,
about a year and a half.
You were
afterwards.
starting to get healthy, and you were just starting to come back into it. But you had a fire that I wanted, you know. And this is where I go.
That whole thing's a God thing. The Spirit of God in you,
for sure.
Spirit of God in me, Jay's same Spirit,
for sure.
Because you need it. Because if not, your scab.
I was struggling.
Was going to break open. And you were going to go.
I was struggling. And that's where I go back to when I was talking to Blake yesterday, and I said, listen, dude, if you don't squash right now, I have a fear inside of me that you aren't going to make it. We need to get going, whoever you're doing it with, but it needs to be now. On the other side of that, what I want to say, I believe there are certain people with different personalities that couldn't do the steps that the way you and I needed them.
They go to different sponsors.
Right. And that's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. I'm great with that.
And this is what I was telling Blake yesterday. If you want to do it this way, which is what I believe you need, I can kind of read your personality. Let's go. Whether it's me, whether it's Doug, whether it's Rob, whether it's Pat, whoever it is that you do, make sure you talk to me, and I will help you get to that person if you're not comfortable with me. And that's perfectly fine. I don't care. But dude, we need to do it. You need to do it, you know. And I know it probably sounds bad to a lot of people saying, well, you can't tell him what to do. You need to suggest. You can't. Man, I'm going to tell you, I had to use my gut on that one. I truly believe that man needs to squeeze.
Well, he could, listen, they can shut the fuck up. They don't have any musts in the big book.
Oh, yeah, there were 71.
There's no must in the big book. There are 71. Yeah, must. You must. Right. He had to do it or we would die. Right. Had or must. Right. So we qualified the alcoholic. Page 93 tells us that. Once you are convinced your man is an alcoholic. This man already came in and says, I am an alcoholic of this type. Okay, then if you are, you need this.
Right. Right.
Or that's just, or don't. You don't have to do it, but this is what you need. It's like a doctor. Here's a medication you need to fix that ailment. You don't have to take it, motherfucker. But here it is. Yeah. You can sit there and look at it. But you need it. Yeah. All right.
You know what it's done for me just since yesterday is I've actually opened up my 12 by 12. I've been studying. I've been going back. Like I said, it's just done so much for me to reignite a little bit of something. I mean, it wasn't like I was stagnant. You know, I had a balance in my life that I was happy with. But guess what? God had another story for me, right? God literally trust me, when I sat down in that meeting yesterday, Tom and I were just sitting there bullshitting and laughing and joking. He was giving us a hard time about us talking about him on our last podcast. And so we were bullshitting back and forth. And I said,
Jason was, fuck that guy, let me do your steps. And I was just glad Mike had something other than what he had.
Oh, yeah.
And I was happy he had Tom.
And anyway, so we were bullshitting. And then it came around to Blake for him to share. And like I said, I don't want to go down and beat that road up, but good God, it's just, I'm excited, a little nervous, but so I started reading some stuff only for a couple reasons. One, when I do anything, I want to know that, you know, I don't like to do stuff without a good knowledge of what I'm doing. So I believe when I sponsored the first time, I was only about 7-8 months sober. I shouldn't say only. I was 7 to 8 months sober.
Same time I got my first one.
Yeah, and I don't.
Heroin addict.
Oh boy,
still sober, doing great.
And my first two aren't. So,
hey, it's not us. It's still, they weren't ready.
And they didn't turn out right. But I truly believe I wasn't ready. Right.
Okay.
And I truly believe I wasn't ready. That's why.
Had you at that time had a spiritual awakening as a result
Oh
of
yeah.
steps?
No.
Did you have access to me?
Oh yeah.
And other men who've had that?
Absolutely.
So you were ready enough.
I don't.
Knowledge-wise.
Emotionally,
maybe not.
Right. I don't think that I was emotionally.
But you had all the tools necessary to take.
I did.
Were they ready is the better question.
Well,
which is I don't believe they were.
Well, whether they weren't or not, I don't think I was, because I still had so much selfishness in me, to where I want to do this, I want to do that. I got to have that stupid meeting tonight. I feel like I'm in a better place.
I got to instead of I get to.
Right.
That's where you were.
Right.
Still.
Now I'm like, fuck, I get to meet with him tomorrow night, and I'm excited. I get to start working these steps with another man, and I'm excited. I wasn't that way before. Before, I was just excited to say I had a sponsee. Right?
Oh, I got you.
Motive. That's what it was.
Motive
before.
Is everything, baby.
Before, I was strutting around with my chest out saying, I got a sponsee. Look at me. And it's just like, no, that wasn't the right motives, right? Now,
I got you.
Now I think I want to
help.
As much as I speak about it on this podcast, as much as I talk about it, I think God.
This is your opportunity.
Now, I think God said, you're going to walk this man through his steps, whether he's successful or not. You're going to do it.
You're going to stay sober,
right, for sure. So I looked up. I wanted to just go in, look on Google and say, what is an AA sponsor? An Alcoholics Anonymous.
Remember, we are not sponsored by. We are not affiliated with AA, and the word sponsorship is not.
It.
The word sponsorship.
Get the fuck over it.
I am. What? The word sponsorship is not in the first one.
No, it's not.
For one reason. For a great reason. It wasn't intended to be sponsors right then.
Right.
Until that's why. Go ahead.
So in Alcoholics Anonymous, a sponsor is a more experienced member who provides guidance and support to a new member, also known as a sponsee, as they navigate the AA program and work through 12 steps essential. A sponsor acts as a mentor, a confidant, and a source of encouragement, helping the sponsee stay on track with their recovery.
I love it. That's actually
key aspects of being a sponsor: sharing their own recovery story.
Yep.
Guiding through the 12 steps.
Yep.
Providing emotional support
when needed.
So I had to read that one because I'm not. This is where I'm going to have.
Well, and emotional support takes different. It takes different.
This is what they mean by that. Sponsors offer a listening ear, encouragement, and safe space to discuss the challenge and triumphs in recovery.
Yeah.
Promoting accountability, and that's
huge.
Offering resources. Big. Setting healthy boundaries.
Healthy boundaries depends on resources. Right. Doesn't mean you got to go get them a job if you have an opportunity and they're ready for that.
Not a bank.
Don't bring them into your house. You're not a bank. You're not their doctor. You're not their lawyer.
Right.
You are their sponsor through the AA program of the steps. Yep. Not a fucking marriage counselor either.
No, and that's like I said.
You can offer your opinion if they ask it. You're free to share your opinion, but when it comes to authority, your authority is in the big book and through the steps, and that's it.
That's the problem I had with my number one, the very first sponsee I had. I mean,
the accountability part is the biggest one.
Yeah, for sure.
Own your shit, young man.
Oh, and I will, trust me. A foundation of fellowship, no pressure to. Well, so anyways, here's some more stuff. What does an AA Big Book say about sponsorship? Here's more detail. Sharing expenses, strength, and hope. The Big Book stresses the importance of sharing personal experience, strength, and hope with others to help them in their recovery. The sharing in a core. So anyway, some more of this is BS. Well, not BS, but so I wanted to come back to this because I believe this is something very important, and you hit on it with Christy, right? So our listeners must think we're just an all inbred, because if you go back and listen to our podcast, we just kind of mingle around with it. There's so much intermingled with this person's involved with this person involved, not relationship wise, but
no, yeah.
It's just weird because
it's a fellowship.
You co-sponsored Christy, which I want to go back to that. I want to hit on that. Can you have two sponsors? It's funny.
Absolutely.
Right. One sponsor is the norm. Seeking multiple opinions can be problematic.
Go ahead, because this is why.
If a newcomer seeks advice from several sponsors based on what they want to hear, it can lead to inconsistent guidance and lack of focused support.
Exactly. Because what typically what a human being will do, and I've got a good friend, you know him. We just talked about him.
Right.
He'll do this. He'll call around
he will.
5, 10.
Oh, yeah. He's called me after he's talked to you.
Till someone co-signs their bullshit.
Right.
And then, well, hey, well, you know, this guy, the first 5 guys said, motherfucker, do this. But number 6 said, you know, I wouldn't do that. Oh,
Right.
And that's what they wanted to hear.
That's what they wanted
so
to
that's
hear.
the direction they go.
Right.
That's why one sponsor picked the right one. And again, if that's not working, go grab another one. But don't, again, like you said, motive.
Motive.
The reason
motive.
But your motive was wrong because you were just with your chest out.
Yeah, my first one was just.
If their motive is
1000%.
wrong
Right.
for getting a new sponsor, it's gonna show up in them not staying sober.
Yeah.
You know, and that's on them.
Yeah, I think my maturity and my maturity in my recovery is at a point to where I want to give it away to somebody else.
Someone who's ready and wants to have it. Absolutely.
Right. And I see guys in freshies, a good way to call it, which New Hope has been bringing a lot into. We've had a lot of guys coming into New Hope. I think it's because of Pat, the chairperson who works with the New Hope quite a bit. He's been bringing a lot of guys in. There was 3 fresh guys in there yesterday. One guy looked scared to death. I mean,
good. That's one I should.
He didn't even share.
I was working with my. Me and Aaron got together, said a prayer, gave the power over to God. We showed up the next week, and guess who was there?
Yeah,
Jason Ryan. Then guess who was there the 4th week? Doug.
Wow.
And and we built it, and we just kept. Right. We just stayed consistent, stayed obedient, basically,
Right.
and God did the heavy lifting.
Wow.
But we must stay obedient. It's not that, again, don't lean on a fucking shovel and pray to God for a hole.
Right.
Start digging. He provided the tool.
Right.
God, will you help us get a group together? But we're not going to do anything else. We're just going to sit here with our thumb up our ass and wait for you to do everything. That's not how he works. God hits a moving target. He prefers to hit a moving target. He's a great shot.
Right.
Stay moving.
Yeah.
And work towards that goal, because your prayer should not be hopeful.
Right.
Your prayer should be expectant.
Right.
That's faith. If
Absolutely.
if you're going to worry, don't fucking pray.
Right.
If you're going to pray, don't fucking
Let
worry.
it go. Let it go.
Learn to let it go, because he's going to work.
Right.
And you have to trust in that prayer.
And
and I know
very
that.
difficult.
It's easy for me to say that from here.
Right.
You'd have told me that month 7 of sobriety.
Right.
I'd have slapped you upside the head. You know, brother, I'm just treading water.
You know what though, and I still go through it though, because I just went through some stuff at work, and I'm actually kind of still going through it. And it's just I don't stop. Right. Show me, guide me through what you want me to do next.
You
to
don't.
relieve
This is what
pain.
you're great about.
Right.
You don't stop.
No, God, no.
God hits a moving target.
Right. I literally, I've been working through something for the last 2 weeks, and I had to really, I've been praying every morning. God, show me the path. Don't take this from me. Right. I don't pray that way anymore. Show me the path to relieve this.
Yeah, don't lighten my load. Give me broader shoulders.
Right. Show me how I need to navigate this to where I can relieve this pain. And he has, right? He showed me, and I had to go through some stuff that I was scared to death to do.
Yeah.
Right. I had to.
There's no growth. There's no growth
scared to fucking death to do some stuff I had to do these last 2 days. I had to discuss some stuff with some people that I didn't know how it was going to turn out.
Well, there's growth only to be found on the other side of those moments.
Right. So here's another one. How to know if you got a bad sponsor, right? How to know that I'm going to go to this one.
I'll give you a dozen. What is
your
what is
sponsor talks more about him or herself than about you?
It depends on the moment. It depends on what the topic. It depends on where you're at.
I kind of get that, because one of the things that I kind of honestly see.
I just listen. I don't speak a lot. I do a lot of listening.
That's where I'm going to have a rough time.
I read the book. I explain what the book says. I make them do, exactly. I have them do examples from, I show them examples from my life, being molested or whatever the hard ones are. I show them and have them write out examples of theirs. Do you understand this?
Right.
And then I just listen.
Right. Your sponsor has a cynical or pessimistic attitude.
Yeah, fuck that guy. If he's got no hope and strength, if that's his attitude, why the fuck did you pick him?
Right.
Get rid of that.
Yeah, definitely. Your sponsor has trouble finding time for you.
Get rid of him.
Yeah.
That's
Same
okay.
thing
Again,
goes back
this
to
doesn't
our
mean
rule.
this doesn't mean they're bad or evil people.
No.
They're just not right for you.
They're not right for you.
But that's why my rule 3, if you want to go a different direction, go grow. because a lot of people have a problem. We've talked about it.
Yep.
How do I change sponsors? I mean, and they'll stick out of guilt, fear.
All right.
And that's a detriment to their sobriety.
Right. When I left Jay, I still remember asking you, do I need to tell Jay? And you said, he'll figure it out. I'm like, okay.
Well, and I knew because the way he turned and after he introduced us,
he knew.
I saw that.
He knew.
Yeah, he knew.
He'd been doing this long enough.
Because,
your sponsor doesn't return your messages promptly. I don't know.
Well, I know about promptly.
Right.
You know, what if he's busy?
Your sponsor is rigid in his or her approach.
Bullshit.
Again, I don't
if you want to flex, if you want a guy who's doing, hey, here's what the four step looks like, but do it how you want to.
Right.
Good luck.
And take your time. Don't call me whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, if you would, well, I was different. I had my 4-step done in a day and a half, and I was ready.
I had mine done in 3.5 hours.
I was ready to get that shit the fuck out.
But again, God has brought me men who are ready to go the way the big book says it. You know, the way the old time, boom, boom, boom. And I'm not. If you go and do it a different way and have success, great. That's not the way I'm going to do it, because God's had great success through this. Right. The way the old time, just it's right here.
Right. Your sponsor tries to psychoanalyze you.
We don't have. Here's the beauty.
We're not doctors
in here, but remember I shared in the big book study 2 weeks ago. Had Bill Wilson not, because he remember when Roland Hazard went overseas, he tried to go to Sigmund Freud. Freud was too busy. He tried to go to Adler, because Adler and Carl Jung were both apprentices, or not apprentices, but of Freud.
Right.
Adler wasn't available. Adler and Freud weren't available. Only Carl Jung was. And Carl Jung, out of the three, is the only one who believes in something spiritual, anything metaphysical. Had he not, that's all we'd be doing was psychoanalyzing people, because there'll be no higher power in this program. And we wouldn't have a program either, because that's the power. But anyway, that's just something.
Your sponsor isn't a good listener.
You got to be a good listener, because it's not about talking. Listen.
No. Yeah. Your sponsor asks you to run his or her personal errands.
If you do that for them, I've heard, hey, listen, older sponsors have guys come on. Now hold on. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I knew an older guy. I mean, they were working the steps. This guy was working. I mean, they were doing step work, and he would have this young man come over and mow his lawn. This young, hold on.
So funny.
Again, here's where circumstances are different. Most times now I would say, dude, don't. But the young man, this young man had never been employed. He had just been, that kind, just homeless, robbing, stealing, thieving. He had no responsibility. So this guy was trying to teach him before you can go out into the workforce. He'll have some response for the next month and a half as we do this work. You're going to be at my house on Saturdays. This is your responsibility.
Right.
And he paid him a little bit, but just to learn some work ethic.
Right. Okay.
Before he sent him out.
That's horrible.
Different.
Right.
But just to do it, just to get some free labor is bullshit. And if that's what's going on, get a different sponsor.
That's what cracked me up.
And then introduce me to your sponsor. Me and Larry slap him upside the head.
That's what cracked me up last week when Mike said, yeah, I switched to Tom as my sponsor. He had me wash his truck. Yeah. Your instincts tell you that he or she isn't the right sponsor for you. That's what switched me to you. Right? That's
a double-edged sword too. Right. This guy's too rigid. This guy's, he's too, he's a disciplinarian.
Well, and
maybe that's what you need.
Right. I mean, if you're getting forced to do something you don't want to do, it's not that he's a bad sponsor. It's maybe you need to get your ass through that fucking step.
And if it's coming out of, if it's coming out of this book, if he's not telling you, well, in my opinion, fuck him, then don't listen. But if he says, well, right here is on page 65, it says, and that's something you don't want to do, it's right here. Right. Do it or go get drunk.
Yeah, get it.
So there's always qualifiers.
Get working or get dead, one or the other, right? Anyways, I think we beat the shit out of that one. What do you think?
I love it. Hey. But sponsorship and choosing the right sponsor or an appropriate sponsor, right or wrong, that's semantics. Right. But you know what I mean? But don't be afraid to change,
right?
And go and if need to, go eyeball to eyeball to the man. Hey, listen, this isn't working for me. I want to work with Jimmy over here. Go but get the work. But get the work done.
Get it done. And that's what I was
telling. If that guy's got a problem, that's his problem.
And I told Blake that yesterday. Right. I don't give a shit who you do. I don't give a shit who you ask to be your sponsor. Just make sure you get it done. But remember,
when you come into AA, you have an open wound.
Right. There was another man that walked up. Either
it's going to get closed by a scab if you don't do the work and eventually open back up, or you can have God heal you through these steps, which is going to be.
That there was another gentleman, as I pulled Blake over to the side and we were chit-chatting, there was another gentleman come up and was talking to him about asking him, would you like me to be your sponsor, blah, blah, blah. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, Blake, please no.
Who was that?
I ain't talking about
it. As soon as we get off this podcast, you better fucking tell me.
And whatever, man. If he would have done it, I would have just left it. Choice. I would have left it the way it was.
Hold on. Remember, I told you a story about when I was a year or 2 years sober about the guy who was not an alcoholic. He was a certain type of hard drinker that never worked the steps. The young man asked me, he was, in the back room of primary. Right. Oh, you don't have to do the steps. I didn't. 2 weeks later, that kid was drunk and killed a mother and daughter. Now he's in prison, for vehicular homicide. Now, it's not my fault that kid went and drank. It's not that guy's fault. It's the kid's fault. Right. However, I should have said something.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I should have said something.
Right.
No, not right then in the moment. Hey, motherfucker, I know you didn't work the steps. But before that man left my presence, the young man, I should have said something. Yeah. Would that have changed anything? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I should have said, because I knew.
Guilt on that?
No, not anymore. But I did. Me and Jay had to work through that, because Jay goes, Rob, that guy is not a. Right. He told me a lot of that guy's story, because Jay had tried to sponsor.
Gotcha.
That's why I found out the guy had never worked the steps. He was a certain type of. I was new. Right. You were sober. Certain type of hard drinker. He had his second DUI. Oh wow. He liked what he got from AA. He wasn't in trouble no more, so he just stayed here. Everybody loved him because he was a really educated man. Spoke well. Everybody loved to hear him share because he knew the book and he would say all the right things. But he never worked a step. I didn't have to work a step. You don't have to work them. That kid's in prison still.
This dude actually in the middle of an AA program, AA meeting.
After the meeting, in the back room, the guy asked, and I heard it, and I didn't say nothing. Right. And then all that happened, and I went to Jay. Hey, Jay, this is what I heard. Right. Man, I feel like an ass. He said, well, he goes, yes, I would have said something, but I understand. He goes, it's not your fault, any of that. Let me tell you the backstory about that man. Now, whether Jay should have told me that or not, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Right. No, you probably needed to hear it.
He probably needed to. And I think so too, because he told me that so I wouldn't feel
guilty.
I could put everything in perspective. Right. But now,
for sure,
I would have said, since when I've had not exact scenarios like that, but other scenarios when I don't care if 20, 30, 40 years sober people, I've pulled them off to the side when they've said stupid shit in front of newcomers.
No, for sure.
And I've listened. If you say that again, you and I are going to have problems and probably have more than words. And I'll go to different fellowship. Fuck this place.
Right. Yeah,
don't do that.
That's the difference between
because you can kill people.
Yeah, but then your words. And that's what I said in the very beginning. There's certain things that I won't get involved in a conversation because it goes a little deeper than my knowledge, right? Because I'm still I'm still a lot ignorant to a lot of in-depth stuff in this.
And there's times I might overstep, and I'll apologize.
I'm going to tell you right now, I would take your advice over people 30 and 40 years sober because how deep you go into this book, right? So I mean, I don't know where I'm going with that. It's just that I'm very cautious about how deep. When I hear stuff that's not right, I know for a fact it's not right, I will say something.
But the way we do it, we don't say it right there. In
no.
I pull people aside and I do it.
You do it, but if
that way there's no witnesses.
Try to correct what was possibly said. Same way the guy that when you and I was getting ready to do my 4-step, right? And some guy pulled, and I talked about it at Primary Purpose. And some guy had pulled me to the side and started telling me how he did his 4-step. And I'm listening to this guy, and I don't even remember his name, nothing. I don't think I've ever seen him again. I remember that guy confused me so bad that when I left there, because I still wasn't 1,000% understanding the 4-step. I was a little bit more confused. Maybe you hadn't even introduced it to me. I just knew it was getting ready to come. And I was so confused about what he said and then what I had read in the book, or then you explained it. And in my mind, I'm like, that motherfucker shouldn't have said a goddamn word because he confused the shit out of me.
Did more harm than good.
He did. Yeah. For like 2 or 3 days.
I'm sure he meant.
I'm sure he did
great things, but he does more harm than good.
Right. And that goes back
again. If it's not if it can't be substantiated, if what you're about to say to someone new is not found in this fucking book. That's why I quote it. That way it's not me paraphrasing. Yep. It's a fucking quote.
It's a quote.
Not just to show, hey, look how smart Rob is. No, because I'm not smart, but I could memorize. But that way they don't have, hey, Rob, I don't have to go. I don't have to ask Rob. I can go to page 64 because that's what he said. Oh, there it is. It's in the book. There's your authority.
Right. And that's where I'm hoping. I'm going to have to do some more studying and get caught up on some of that stuff. Anyways, Rob, let's get the hell out of here.
Let's go.
recoveryunfilteredpodcast at gmail.com. Reach out to us if you got any questions on that. If you got somebody that needs some help, that's recovery.
Katie, I'm sorry. There's like 6 F-bombs, and that's please forgive me for that. I'll clean it up next time.
Tammy, it was all him, not me.
Yeah.
recoveryunfilteredpodcast at what?
my sister asked, because I want to clarify one thing as far as the Mike and the Jason, because we had talked about Mike's first son, Joseph.
Joseph.
And we kind of left it on the cliffhanger. She goes, Rob,
That's something I was going to clear up.
Is Joseph still alive? Yes, Joseph is alive. Physically, he is still impaired. Right. Mentally, he's pretty good. But he is still alive and well. Right. I'm sorry to leave.
If anybody, one of the things I was going to bring up with, and we will, but that's probably good that Tammy. Yeah, I mean, Joseph is. I mean, he's around Oakdale.
Oh yeah,
people know him.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of here.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today.
We hope you learned something today that will help you.
If you did not, come back next week and we'll try again.
If you like what we heard, give us a 5-star review. If you don't like what you heard, kiss my... You can't say that, can you? Anyway, if you don't like what you heard, go ahead and tell us that too. We'll see what we can improve. We probably won't change nothing, but do it anyway.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Come back next week and hopefully something will be different and something will sink in.
This has been Recovery Unfiltered.